Thank you for coming. Welcome, 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 welcome back. Thanks to you all for coming. And I know you mentioned that you've been here before to some of our openings, maybe. So this is a nice change of pace for us. It's really nice to be able to dive in and speak a little more intimately about some of the artwork. And of course, welcome Elena Salova, who's joining us here, Ukrainian contemporary artist, painter, classically trained, always evolving, with some really, really interesting styles and approaches and thought and emotion that goes into your work. Of course, you have an incredible journey that we'll get into, but we're really, really happy to have you here. I'm Sabrina. I'm the director of the gallery.
Since I'm Evan, I'm the exhibitions coordinator here at the gallery.
Yes. And of course, I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you. It's incredible opportunity. I don't have words and I start to feel like I became home because I have you, I have all my work around and it's given me so much energy. So thanks for this event. Thank you. Yeah, it's really nice to have it here. We had a few pieces select work up last month for, of course, your exhibition Close Encounters in March, which had a wonderful response. But to be surrounded and immersed in it, and especially with some newer pieces that we'll discuss today, is really touching and really exciting to be a part of, and to have this other perspective also in our space, and to have you here in New York for the first time as well, which is very cool. So we'll talk about some of the works, but give us a little background. You have such an inspiring story as a Ukrainian artist now based in Spain, as we know, with your own practice, studio, and gallery there. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
About that journey. My life in Ukraine was totally wonderful, and I realized that everything that I'm looking for is peace. So I come to Spain to some meditative retreat just to charge myself, to find some more inspiration, just to spend 10 days in the middle of nowhere in mountains, in community of followers of Carl Jung. So they researched dreams. And I saw one dream that I must stay in Spain. I say, no way, because I don't know Spanish language. I don't have nobody in Spain. How I can stay? And I have tickets for 10 days. And I go to the oldest from Brotherhood and he say, you must stay because this place fulfilled with magic and you're an artist. And person who organized this community was also an artist. And she was a lady from previous century. I say, okay, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna work in the garden, like volunteer. They say, no, 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 you're an artist. You must go to town. So I just go with open eyes, without anything with me, and I just bring my art and I just start to paint every day, and somehow I receive support and I bring all my works to any gallery that I can find. And after a few months, I open my own gallery. And this is how I spent 3 years in Spain. And now I'm here.
That's so incredible. I think the part about, I mean, being immersed in that community that studied dreams and then having a dream and a vision to be in that place and to stay there is very interesting and really cool.
Yeah, it was very risky for me because without any support, without any stability, to step into unknown. But I understand this is actually what artists do. They step into unknown territory and they totally open for everything. And this is that lead me all my life. This is the way how I live. Just
Yes.
yeah,
And your work has such a dream like whimsical quality to it.
yeah.
Um, we'd love to know a little bit about the process. Launching from that journey, you of course are classically trained, and that's very clear in all of your work. It's really interesting to see this thread also that we have here with some pieces that show more of that foundation, the figurative work that then plays into the more ethereal and the veiled series that we have behind us and in the circle pieces. But tell us about your process.
Lots of how I create in general. Yeah.
Yeah, and the history of how that has evolved and changed since you studied in school academically into your own practice, your studio practice today.
what I remember the most from my studies that all teachers told me that it's impossible to find your own style because everything already exists. So you must be very professional in maximum departments of art, like restoration, monumental art, sculpture, everything. So I touched all these directions. And suddenly, then I was 18, I make my final work in art college, and my teachers say, you can try to make some watercolors just for fun, just to support your creativity. And this watercolors actually was first multi-layer veil. But I did it for fun and I put everything to the garbage. I like, oh, it's just for fun. And once a professor from Kiev, he say, this is you. This is that you must focus it. And my teacher say, no, 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 this is just exercises. She must be somebody else. So I must study another direction. I was studying monumental art on that time. And after I finished my monumental academy, I go to the village just to live my life. And I found after a visit in retreat that I want to come back to this watercolors, but I start to do it in circle canvases. And I also did it like watercolors using oil colors. And it looks like watercolor. Even now, then you look, you questioning, is it drawing or is it like oil? So I mix graphic technique and I mix classical oil in one canvas. And I think it's heritage of my grandfather who paint money. And that's why I'm very prefer to do these lines, this careful touch to canvas. So I think it's mix of my personal experience, of my education, and something that I just want to have fun then I create. I don't want that people who bring this canvas home, they feel that I suffer. I want they feel what I feel then I create. So it's like sharing my feelings.
It's so interesting to me that you started your answer by telling us what your teacher said about how there's really no more personal style anymore because it's all been done before. But then you go on to explain
Yeah.
really what your style actually is. And so I think it's really interesting that you've actually kind of in that way contradicted what your teacher said in a really wonderful way because you do have such a signature style through your motifs and through your own kind of invention of this watercolor oil kind of combination, which is really interesting. And I'm curious actually because you touched on like these kind of symbolic elements in your work and this like watery element throughout. And I also notice like birds and there's like people and elements of like foliage and animals. Like, do these like hold personal meaning to you, or is there more of like an intuitive nature around them? Like, what inspires you for specific pieces to add in those elements?
Normally, usual things like small shopping. Just I saw somebody walking on the street, and if I go with my friends somewhere, they take pictures and then they look, what you take pictures from? And I take pictures from strange things, like not usual. This inspire me something that stay behind the scene. Some small things. For example, this artwork behind us with birds. We go shopping to a wonderful store, and I must spend over there like 20 minutes. And I was such impressed by colors, flowers, and it was a book. I opened and said, "Wow, this is some island. This is Hawaii. Okay, this culture. They have special dance. They have special culture of colors of this jewelry from flowers, and it's so popular here. And I want to touch to this culture through these books, through these clothes, and I realized that I'm almost there. And I know one day I'm gonna be in this place because every time I paint something, life give me access to this place. Like I am available to be there one day, and I'm sure about this. Yeah. So
I love that. I mean, the motifs in all of your work, like Evan was saying, they're so unique, but then they come together really beautifully thematically, and they're so curious. They're almost like you're choosing and picking from an array of motifs, like you are your paint, which I find really interesting. Um, when you are considering that in your compositions,
Does it feel like a story coming together from the onset, or does that come along as you're piecing them together through the different threads?
Uh, Few kind of work. I have this like in background. We have this kind of composition I take from my childhood. It's dedicated to my father because then he go to work and he let me with my sister at home. Just then I was 5 or I don't know. And he just knock on the window and he makes some paintings on the glass. And for me, this movement, like he knock and say bye bye, I gonna come back. For me, it was like big hope. And through these lines, I saw world different. So this movement on canvas, I grow and canvas also grow. So it's for me like connection with my ancestors, with my family, with my roots, but I feel totally free. And I feel that I can create my world now, controlling my emotions, working on my inner peace, my inner world, protecting this inner peace, and bring it to be bigger. Yeah, so I don't think about composition too long, but I use some classical like if avoid of symmetry, something like it must be like this, like this. But if I create multi-layer veil where everything is mixed, I don't think about composition. It's just intuitive.
I'm curious then, with these two pieces behind us, Visioneer Pegasus and then Flight of Life, there's definitely a clear difference here with one, I mean, still a beautiful color, but obviously less colorful than the piece beside it. And even the background, even the negative space of this newer piece has this green poking through. So I'm wondering, like, what was like that transition for you? Does this like represent a transition for you?
Yes, I think it is. This I paint after a visit in Belgium. I was impressed by a cold country, by these structured buildings, by these strict characters, by very serious personalities of people that I met. And this I paint here. So this my first work created in USA, and it was full of relaxing movements, traveling, everything was new, fresh, and I realized that this world have culture of having fun. This culture that I don't have. And I say, oh, I want to step into this now. So this is new door. Thanks for this culture.
I love that. It's really fun to look at the palettes and how they're reflected
Yeah.
um, in your work and to see what's next. I know that you've been here for the last few weeks and seeing a lot of things here in the city and outside of New York, of course. Tell us about what it's been like to be here and experience everything.
For me, it's magical experience. I see everything so new for me, and I try to remember it like combination of color, combination of shapes. I try to look at everything like an artist, and I see all my travels like part of my work as an artist. And I enjoy this. And I'm so grateful for my friends who welcoming me here, and they show me most brightest things like Las Vegas, countryside. And then I go for a walk. I see this nature that is so different from country where I come from. Different colors of birds, everything more active, everything more mixed with one each other. Like people, animals, they live like one each other closer. And these things inspire me to work more. But now I'm in the mode of downloading and like download information, and I have no idea what it's gonna bring me, but I know that it's gonna be a lot of things, a lot of new.
Yeah, it's some really interesting palette, I'm
Yeah.
sure, which will be very cool. Well, that's really exciting. Let's let's circle back to some of the more figurative pieces
Yeah.
here. You told me earlier when we were speaking that you actually showed me another piece that you had done in school before, and very academic, beautiful soft palette. You were told that you had to paint in oil, but you painted in acrylic, which I thought was great. Which also goes along back to your personal style and how it's breaking through, but kind of coming away from that training. Um, do you still paint in this style? Tell us about the differentials in your different series and what inspires those.
I try to be more focused now in multi-layer veils. I try to be focused in my own style because it's always new and it's interesting. But sometimes I'm always come back to classical art. So series with David and Lacan and Botticelli is something that I create now with classical sculpture, with Renaissance artist. It's gonna be our direction with these new colors that bring me this journey and mix old style and new, but through my vision. And maybe it's gonna include multi-layer veil also. And one of my favorite series is Lady in the Car, because I repeat this artwork in ceramic, and I have few artwork like this in Barcelona, and I think it's touched a lot of people because everybody sitting in the car, then it's rain, and everybody feel very a lot of common with this artwork. And I create this artwork. I paint brand of the car Volvo. After 10 years, I met a person who gonna help me in my gallery deliver all my works in Europe by Volvo. And then I sit in this Volvo, I make photo of me, I paint it, and I say, let's for fun write here Lamborghini. And after a few months, I receive invitation from Lamborghini salon, and they say, we want to place your artwork close to our car. And next time, I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'm gonna continue this experiment.
That's so fun. What a clever idea.
Yeah.
That's a clever idea. It's so interesting to me to see when an artist, especially a classically trained artist, goes from figurative to more abstract work. I would still say your work is definitely more on the figurative side because you hide so many elements in there, but it is interesting to see how you do that. Like take these very abstract forms and then hide within it these figurative elements. And I'm curious with it while we're like talking about the figurative. Where do you like obtain your source imagery? Are they from photos that you take? Are they from photos you like source? Are they from your imagination? Is it a mix of all of those?
About figurative, yeah?
Hmm.
For example, when we was in travel, I cannot paint because there is no my studio, and I just found paper, and I started to make something from my mind, and I was sure that I forgot anatomy because I didn't open this atlases of anatomy many years. But I painted so well, and I know that I not following proportions. Maybe I didn't make it totally right, but it was such a nice inspiration because I was a lot of skills, but I'm free to use it like I want. So I can change um, real position of the bones and it's gonna look nice. So now I enjoy changing and transform my classical knowledge, how I feel according to my feelings, and enjoy the process of mixing everything in one canvas. And after I come back to my studio, I found so much inspiration because I was free in these sketches. So small sketches, free spirit in paper. So I never gonna show it maybe for nobody. This gives me to be free on big sizes canvas.
You're talking about the sketches, which is really interesting to me because I actually find that you often in your pieces kind of hide sketches in a way. Like a lot of your work is very sketch like, even though the overall piece
Mm.
is very finished. There are just like these little hidden moments that kind of also transcend medium in a way because they do look almost graphite like when you look closely. You're like,
Mm.
oh, this is also paint. And it's really interesting how you kind of achieve that.
Mm.
What is it that makes you decide whether or not you want to fully render a figure or if you want to kind of leave it as a sketch? Do they all start as a sketch or how does that process work?
All this canvas, they start without sketch. But before I did some sketch, not connected with canvas. Just I need to feel free. So I need to put myself into statement where I feel elevated by freedom. And this give me courage to step into big sizes. But I let some figures like just tiny, gentle touch. And sometimes I feel it must be like this without my um, efforts to make them visible. It must be like just between reality and spiritual dimensions. It have some layers. So I feel this layer. So we can show these birds very bright, realistic. We can have some layer of like feelings, and background. It's totally unknown. So I want to put us a little bit
integrated into unknown. Yeah, this is how I decide.
There's definitely that realm quality in all of the work, and it is interesting to, like Evan said, the decisions to render or not fully render certainly play into that.
Yeah.
This piece here, Open Heart, tell us the story behind that one.
This story. This was story about women in Spain because as I know history, women many years ago they was a property of family and they don't have any right. But then it's changed with few waves of feministic movements. Now they can be maximum free, they can be dominative, they can be aggressive, they can be owner of the big companies, and they very high respected. But in the same way, in the same time, we have mm, some vibe of traditional feminine energy. So they want to be strong and free, but they still want to be feminine and protected. So here I show this pomegranate, which is like open, like ready to be eaten, and some gently this pomegranate that just start to be ready, and elements of symbol of Spain, and this woman who just observed everything, and this angel who ready to broke somebody's heart. So it's all palette of feelings of woman. It's very rich palette, and I decide to show it maximum gently. I don't make everything visible.
Was there any link to Persephone here? Because that was what I first thought of. I first thought of Persephone and like her pomegranate.
I cannot say about
Oh no, that's so interesting to me because I think that it just provides an added moment. Like in Greek mythology, Persephone she's the queen of the underworld when Hades takes her from above, and she is taken, and a pomegranate is like a big symbol of hers. I think I'm not an expert in Greek mythology, but I'm pretty sure it was taken from her in the underworld. Forget the exact wording of it, but it is a symbol of her. So I think it is interesting that in the story of women reclaiming their womanhood and their strength, there is the symbol of the pomegranate because it actually harkens back to like one of the oldest stories
yeah.
in human history.
And you mentioned Greek mythology, and I remember story that teacher of Socrates was also woman. So best philosopher, like well-known philosopher in the world, was taught by woman also. So I think we keeper of the knowledge, and I show over the classical element like some angel with musician instrument. Sometimes I look on this canvas and I see a lot of metaphorical meaning. Even I don't know what they mean, but I know that it's like message for maybe next generation. We're gonna see.
Mhm. That's so interesting. I mean, you also include just a lot of classical elements in your pieces. I mean, just like looking around, I mean, you have one just like these like florals and these birds, and even in this piece, Michelangelo's, you have
Yeah.
David, and so what is the decision making there for specifically a piece like this where you have David in the piece?
It's gonna be very usual words, but I saw that David must be there. I just really saw. I have this canvas like present from my friend. He bought this canvas. He said, "I just bought this canvas. It was nice price." I say, "Oh, what are you gonna paint here?" So I feel very free. Let me just make experiment with some combination of green, gray, and then I say, I'm gonna write here a big message, here and now. But then I write here, and then I make David, these flowers, and I decide to let it not finish. So it's like about being in the moment. But it was no logical decision. It's totally not logical art, even anti-logical. Yeah.
That's so interesting. So I would say then your work is more intuitive, perhaps,
Very.
because it is very based, like you've said, kind of said this whole time, like on sketches, on very like spur of the moment feelings, whether or not you decide to fully render something or even like the form, it's very abstract. But I think it's also interesting that it harkens back to something for you that is very real, which is you're having your family
Yeah.
leave for war and like having like these traced moments. You know what I mean? Like that to me is the most at face value, abstract nature of the work is kind of the form of this, but for you, that feels actually the most real and the most grounded. So that's
Yeah,
very interesting
yeah.
for you.
I noticed that I paint only multi-layer veil. I'm more into energy of softness, like melting, mixing everything. But then I add abstract elements. It's give me structure. It give me some, like we say, feeling of safety and grounding. Because it's for me like this Vitruvian human, Vitruvian man. It's like balance of feminine and man energy in one person. So this is what I feel when I create this type of canvas. I feel very balanced. Yeah.
That's really interesting that the abstract is what gives you that groundedness.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I think the balance between moving between figurative, classical elements and abstract can be a real challenge for a lot of artists who are trained in a certain way. And you do it so beautifully. And it's interesting that that is the grounding moment, is to be able to incorporate that intuition, but then solidify your compositions with something that's more abstract. That's really, it's very interesting.
Okay.
Um, Moving away into your studio, tell us about your gallery that you have in Seville that you opened up in Spain, and what a day looks like in there, because your space is open to the public.
Yeah.
I mean, you're also painting and working
Mm.
most of the time live painting. What does a day look like at the studio?
For me, it was like a show. It's like show where I must feel maximum relaxed. I must paint. I must have intimate process with my canvas. But it was totally open for public. And if somebody enters, I must like get up. I must say welcome. I must say something. I must introduce my art. I must sell. I must take care of everything. And it was nice training days. I spent 2 years in one place. I love that place. But it was for me nice experience to learn how to switch my creative part to my serious business part. And this gives me so much power in life, because I know that more healthy, more mental health person have more easy we can switch from one emotion to another. More easy we can change one role to another. And in the end, the best experience was when I closed my gallery. I stopped being an artist, because first, then I just opened it, I was 24 hours thinking about everything. I was worried about process. I was worried about sales. It was new for me, and I was totally involved in everything. And I damaged my sleeping process. I was too much busy. But then I realized that I must learn how to switch. This is my role of artist. This is happy, relaxed lady. This is businesswoman. And then these three roles for me became a big foundation to create with peace. This is very important for me. And gallery give me a lot of experience how to build communication with clients, how to build friendly relations, how to build long-term relations with clients. But then I see my artwork in your gallery. It's totally different level. It's high professionally. I'm very appreciate your space and you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I wonder then, how does it feel then for other people then to see your work? Because as an artist, a lot of your work, it does feel very personal, you know? And then even being more personal when you open a gallery and then show your work, where even the business side of it becomes very personal, you know? Like, you can't really take yourself out of it. So then when someone does decide to not even purchase necessarily, even just like engage with your work, like how does that feel? And what do you hope that someone takes out of your work?
I understand, right? You ask how people feel about my work.
Yeah.
No,
Or how do you,
how I see that, how they feel
yeah,
about my work. Mm, very interesting experience. I receive from historical professor. Then I order from him write description to my multi-layer veil. One of this. And he write me so huge text with historical like dates, centuries, this mythology, everything. Oh, it's so professional.
And then I read it, I say, I have no idea how this connected with my canvas, but it was from his point of view, from his knowledge. And then just some art students within my gallery, they see what they can learn from this. Tourists just looking for some souvenirs or something new. If they travel all over the world, they say, oh, we see everything, but this is we never saw. What is? And this brings interest to somebody who is very specified on art collectors. So different, but each of visitor bring something valuable to my art. Even how they see, how they feel, it gives me hope that I'm on the right way. More and more confidence on my way. Yes.
Yeah, what is that transition for you then from going from having a teacher and being trained to now? Do you ever seek guidance from other artists, from other people, ask questions for like, oh, what can you do? Or is it more so now like you are in charge, you are leading?
Yeah.
Or is it kind of a mix?
I'm very grateful for my three strongest teacher in my life. All of them give me different kind of education. But last teacher in academy, he just say, "Oh, I understand what you need, what you want. You can never visit my classes. You are totally free. I'm gonna put you some marks. Just relax. I know that you're good. Just you can never come back." And I say, what interesting. And I became best student because he noticed how to work with me, and I never miss his classes. And now, then I became art teacher. I give my students especially what they need. I try to find in each of my students what they need, how I must speak with them, the level of pressure that I can give them, the direction, what I see in them. So I feel a lot of responsibility on me, like teacher. But I feel these three teacher on my backgrounds, they always speak with me. Then I give this for next generation. Yeah, so I feel proud.
The connection, I think, is so important.
Yeah.
And you connecting with your students and feeling that connection in the past and being able to speak the same language as someone visually, it comes through in your work. And I feel like that is really prevalent in even the stories, the discussions we've had around what we see in your work and what certain pieces mean and what, I wanted to ask about this piece because it does feel like it has such a cohesive theme for what, even if it wasn't your intention, whereas other pieces, I feel like the interpretations and the stories are so much fun to get into, um, just threading everything together. And so I think that connection coming through on the other end, whether it's through your students or your audience or whoever's engaging with your work, is really a cool aspect of your work because it's very versatile and it's very dynamic, and yet it's very emotionally charged. I think that's very evident in all of your pieces. Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what's next? I know you're here a bit longer, um, and you've been traveling a bit,
Yeah.
which is hopefully going to inspire some refreshing palettes. We talked about palette earlier and how different places kind of recharge that energy. Tell us a little bit about that and this piece that you created
Yeah.
while here. You already mentioned, but I know you're working on some new work as well.
Yes. If I look back very far long time ago, my palette became more and more clear because I come from country where you never gonna have like 20 days of sunny days. It's rainy, it's sometimes it's a lot of snow, and it's early dark. But then I moved to Spain. I feel that my eyes didn't recognize color that I was enjoying before, and I start to paint more clear. Now, after US travel, I realized that I became a little bit more like come down, and now I can more operate with this soft palette, very bright palette, and now my goal is to find a way how to make them friends, how to make them harmony in peace. And this is what I do in life. I try to make all the system
be in harmony. This is nature of artists, to put harmony in canvas, and I try to do it with my life, with life where I am, with all my people who are around me. And I don't know where it's gonna bring me, but I'm totally open to bring my body every day to studio and to work as much as I can with pleasure. Yeah.
Well, I think that you're already on such a strong track because I feel that flight of life is very much what you're saying, you know? It is taking this more colorful aspect that you're opening your eyes to and, like, learning more about and translating that through your previous eyes, you know? Like, I don't think you should ever be letting go of your previous eyes, you know? And I think you know that too, just to, like, keep letting yourself evolve and take kind of the history that you have and mix in with the new history that you're gaining. And I think it is really interesting to see this specific transitionary period that you are having because you can really see that. I mean, there's such a clear connection between these two pieces. They almost feel like they're part of a series, but they're completed at different points in your life. And that's so interesting to then see where you were and where you are now. And it makes me interested for the future too, to see where you'll go. Where do you think you'll go? Like, what do you envision is like the next? If this piece is one and this piece is two, where is three?
Yeah. I love your expression about your old eyes, but because it feels like this, like my old eyes, and I can choose these glasses from my experience Spanish, my Ukrainian experience, my Austria experience, my US experience, and this is like huge palette, like my palette, which each with each travel became larger and wider. And I realized that my next goal that I want from myself to be available to make maximum quality realism and maximum quality contemporary art. So I want to all them grow. I don't want to stay in something abstract or in something very realistic. I want they grow together. This is my target. Again, to mix them, to see how it goes. I think it's gonna be more and more clear. Yeah.
It's really exciting. It's very inspiring, your story and your work, and we have certainly been very inspired and, like I said, could tell so many stories, our own stories within each of the pieces. It's really, really lovely to see them all here, um, to be surrounded with them, and of course, to have you here and your voice alongside of them is really beautiful. We're really
So
happy to
happy.
have you here. Yeah. If anyone has questions or comments.
So that sort of honors have inspiration, but also you mentioned that you need to be in a where you're painting, you need to be in a specific place, physically in a specific place, but also mentally in a place to be created. Are there times when you're just not in the correct state, or how do you just can't space?
Yes, there is a lot of times where I can't paint, but anyway, I must be close to my studio. No, I must close to be close to my palette. I must to be there because this inspiration gonna come. Then I gonna level up myself from protective mode, like where I feel not free, where I feel not safe, just more higher than normal emotions of human. So I must be a little bit more higher than some person who just experiencing the world, like to switch from human experience into creator experience. Because my brain, I noticed how my brain work, and it switched very fast from creator mode to receiver or consumer of things. And I know what I must do to put myself into this stage. Like I have instruction for me, and this is most important instrument for artists to know access to your muse. This is very important. Thank you for nice question.
I don't know.
Yep.
Before you train, kept did you paint before?
Yes. I paint since I was born, and I say to my parents, please don't, can I not visit school because I'm not gonna need it. I need art school. And I find teacher for myself. Then I was 10. I say, please give me to this teacher. And I just know where I go. I know the way. Yeah. Thanks.
Super. Right. Well, thank you, Elena, so much. It's been really, really lovely talking with you, and of course, having your work here has been a real privilege. We're really happy to have it here and to be representing you here in New York and to see where things go next.
Thank you so much. And I feel that your gallery so easy became homes for artists, for artwork. Very, very grateful for you. Thanks.
Thank
It looks beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for everybody who is with me. Thank you for sharing this space.
you.